Okay, it started recording now. Hi, I'm Almadrite, a Fort Nerd, and this is creativerse. I do have a few quick bug reports to work out before this goes any further. My system apparently has a very intensely difficult time playing this game. It's crashed, and the system reports that this program is apparently an absolute data hog. So it's taking everything I've got to record like this right now. I guess that's an oversight on my system's part, or not. Um, I am apparently experiencing a few graphical glitches as well, or not. Maybe that's supposed to be there like that. I can't tell. And the window cropping hasn't exactly worked well either. The window does appear, it does take up the full screen, but the bar that you would use to minimize and exit out of the tab does not work correctly. I'm just hoping that's just me and not some kind of bug or oversight. And I need to stay as far away from the enemies as possible. Sadly, I can't show you any of that because if I do, my system will overload and the entire thing will crash. Anyway, getting on to actually presenting about the game. Those of you that see this will immediately think Minecraft, and there's a pretty good reason for that as well. This is a voxel-based sandbox like Minecraft. Except there are a few key differences. One, this game is a lot more technically inclined. What do I mean by that? Well, you start off in a world with nothing, of course, but you can build pieces of technology that will automatically acquire things for you. My base camp is over there, and I'll tell you about that when I get there, but right now I'm going to do a bit of a tutorial portion, just for those of you that haven't had the experience with it and tried to avoid that bad guy. Okay, cool. So, as you can see, you don't get a pickaxe, you get a hand. And this hand is wearing a glove, and this glove has a tractor beam slash, whatever you want to call it, on it. And you use that to suck up the materials of the world. And it doesn't take any longer for any of the things to actually collect. You're not going to sit there for 20 minutes trying to dig out one piece of something or other. Finally. Also, this one tool collects everything in the world, so no more switching through 50 different types of tools in order to get the one thing you're trying to get. Which is freaking awesome to me because I am so freaking tired of having to switch between tools. I'm just gonna do this real quick so I can get at this beeswax. Beeswax, actually, a very important commodity. You can collect leaves, you can collect beeswax, you can collect wood. You'll also notice some extra visual cues. I don't know how else to put it. You'll see that some of the leaves have extra details on them, like the dots. Those are flowers. You'll need those. The little bits of green stuff on these trees, that's moss. You'll need that. Like basically anything you can get, you will need. Which is why I'm going through the point of getting it now. Just tractor beam, vacuum up, or suck up, whatever kind of phrase you're willing to use. All this junk. And of course, this wood here as well. This has vines on it, which you will need. things such as saplings and whatnot, so you can constantly regrow your environment, just like in other games. Now, I will take you to my base camp, just because. I'm afraid I haven't done much, but I did go ahead and explore some things and do some things just so that, I'd be equipped to actually play the game and not have me fumbling around for an hour or so, trying to explain things that I couldn't actually explain. Okay, so here's my shed, and here are my processors. Now, your processor is basically your automatic crafting bench. These little things are actually like batteries for your gauntlet. You stick them in the slot and they charge up your thing and they let you mine and craft all the stuff that you're going to do. Mostly just mine. You seem to be able to craft it just fine on your own. As I said, I've unlocked a few things. But we'll go through the basics here. Your basic processor, which you can use to make slabs and sticks and other things. You'll need a vine and some random wood. Of course, we've already gotten the vine, but where do you get stone from? In case you've never played Minecraft before, you do that underground. I happen to have an area over here specifically designed for that. Ah, crap. Maybe it's not such a good idea to do that with the limitations currently imposed on my hardware. But yeah, basically, if we just dig around for peace, we will eventually strike pay dirt, or in this case, just regular stone. A lot of the ways this game is different from Minecraft, I actually prefer over Minecraft. Because of simply the way the world is done. You don't have to travel incredibly deep down to find overly common materials. You noticed the moss I collected earlier, right? Well, instead of actually having to dig for coal, because coal is the only thing you can make torches out of, you can simply find the moss on the trees and use them to make torches. These are, of course, weak torches compared to any other type that there may be in the game. I'm not entirely certain of that. But they do at least work, and you don't have to automatically strike it rich in order to get them, which is a problem I, and I believe many others, always had with Minecraft. Still at dirt. Why is this taking so long? Oh ho! I found something. Found some mushrooms. Also, one of the greatest things that I've ever seen in a game like this before. You can just eat brown mushrooms, red mushrooms, whatever you got. You can simply eat them to regain health. And you don't have to go hunting around 1,000 minutes a day in order to gather food. You don't need food. Thank you. Just freaking thank you for that. Now I don't have to spend hours trying to secure a farm or hunt down random animals that take forever to find for no reason. When I get down close enough for this to work. Ah, stone. Finally. Finally found some stone. Let me shed some light on the situation here. Okay, so you might not be able to automatically harvest stone. Excuse me. As you can see there, if I try to suck it up, it says it requires a wood mining cell, which means you need this little battery right here. Well, we go to wood crafting, and it requires some wood, a mushroom, and some vines. Ding! Of course, I already have one, so I'm just going to use the older cell that I have already crafted. Voila! You get to suck up stone. And I'm probably not going to get to show this right now, but the world underground is so much more complex and detailed. As you can also see right there, I actually did manage to place an object upside down, if I may put into my shack for a minute here. Yeah, I'm a little paranoid about the lights. They don't actually seem to do much more than actually be a light source, and that's cool. But as you can see, I actually did put a face-down torch on the ceiling there, so yeah, you no longer have to specifically carve out niches so that you can hang torches off of things. So, of course, now I've got stone, and stone leads you to the processor, which you can just create. No wasted time, no needed crafting bench, just make it. And then you would just place it down here and be able to craft. However, of course, through the magic of the internet, I have already created several of these things. I have a processor for nearly every other material in the game that I may need. As far as I know. Let me find my stone processor. That's not it. That's not it either. Ah, here we are. My wood processor, so I can get some slabs. And of course I already have some stone slabs, so making stone slabs and wood slabs. Go back into your crafting bench, and you can make an extractor. You don't have to memorize all of the thousands of crafting components and the specific recipes that you need to put them in. You can just craft it. So the processor works. You can stick in anything here. It tells you what you've got that is processable. It actually tells you this so that you don't have to wander around in the dark for an hour or so. It's like, oh, you have stone? Would you like to make it into slabs? Would you like to make it into sticks? Things like that. Of course, you also have other things. And right there, it folds open, and you can see the little blades and whatnot wearing in it, like it's like a buzzsaw, crafting. The person that actually knows, a table saw, that's what I'm thinking of, a table saw. So you can just imagine the materials being shoved through the saw and it cutting it, and that's amazing. And when it's done processing, it'll just fold itself back up. But now on to the better thing about mining. You see, now that you have this, you can craft an extractor, which I already did. Hopefully my mine is empty by now. Yeah, pressing the wrong button still. It takes time to get used to a new control scheme. Yeah, I did go ahead and make a bed. Would you look at that? Quite teenage boyish. They do have a story, as suggested by this letter that you have here, this crumpled note. She said I shouldn't leave you like this. Fine, build a shelter before nightfall and light it up with something. Do that and you might just have a chance. Who is this she, you may ask? I don't know. From my personal experience, it's probably either your mother, your sister, or your wife. And since the kid in this game well, looks like a kid. I'm gonna say it's either his sister or his mother. I'm leaning towards sister, personally. I am very personally leaning towards it being a sister. Yeah, I got kind of paranoid with the torches down here. As you can see, it didn't help not spawn anything. Crap. I can't fight like this. I can't fight like this. It's not that I'm afraid, and it's just that my system can't handle the stress. Of course, as you saw, the creature does burn in sunlight, so the only time that you'll actually fight anything, definitely without definitely without exception, have to fight anything is underground or at night. But all of the creatures burn at night. Took a bit of fall damage there. Tipped over. Eat a mushroom. Restore health. Booyah. No tedious overabundance of stuff. That is a mining extractor that I had set to mine and extract beforehand, of course. Let's see, dirt stone, dirt stone, dirt stone. There's some stuff that I was waiting specifically to be on camera, but to do... Darn it, I can't... Oh, thank God it didn't crash this time. Can I get that with this? No, I can't get that with this, but I'll need to make sure I remember that. There's another mining extractor. Of course, I didn't want to do everything. Ah, here we go. This is obsidian. Of course, you know in Minecraft, if you want to make obsidian, you have to get a specialized tool, and you have to spend like 10, 15 minutes to get it. Bam! Just stick the mining extractor on it, and it just comes out. Like, wow, I am getting the resources I need to get, and without the trouble and hassle of actually having to sit there and constantly watch my back and be paranoid about things. Now, of course, this is the deeper cavern that I haven't explored, but we'll just have to do that later, because as you can tell, I'm not very good at getting around with this only wood level battery. Well, what do you do about only having a wood level battery? You make a better battery. Let's see, it's... As you can see down in the corner, they actually have the quick menus open. If you want to craft, just press Q. Okay, so you go from the wood mining cell, or battery, just as I'm calling it. It does say power cell. A power cell is, of course, a type of battery. Power cell. Stone mining. Used to pull fossil layer or weaker materials. So, while I'm down here, you may also notice that we have stone, but we also have limestone, we also have obsidian, we also have magnesite, which you may notice is the material over there that I specifically highlighted. These are all different materials that you can use for different purposes. You can find coal, you can find obsidian, you can find all this junk, and immediately have it available to you. It's not where you have to, oh, dig down to stone, and then in order to get any of the other materials way down low, you have to get past all the stone. and you have to go all the way down and go all the way through the tech tree in order to be able to get the next level of material. It is sort of, but it's much less restrictive, if you ask me. Eat a couple of extra mushrooms just for the health here. Now, what did it say I actually needed? Forgive me, I am quite scatterbrained. Okay, so in order to make the mining cell, you would need stone, you would need wood, mushrooms, coal, and flowers. But again, thanks to the magic of the internet, I have already thought ahead and pre-made this. So I'll just equip my stone mining tool, and voila! Now there is nothing that I cannot handle. Limestone, bedrock. This is a much more efficient way of mining. Oh, more magnolite, cool. A much more efficient way, a much more realistic way of depicting what it's like underground. Of course, if you want, you can just pull up your torches. Makes it a bit darker, but eh. And there's our mining extractor node. Still ticking away. Still giving the obsidian. And of course, this is the darkest part I have. And we've run into a new material called stalactite, which I will need to pick up at some point. Fossils, as I already demonstrated, you can put these in the processor and get bones out of them, so you don't necessarily have to go immediately hunting out in order to find things. If you prefer to go hunting, you can always craft a weapon and go hunting. Animals are not nearly as specific and not nearly as hard to find. I'm just gonna pick up some extra junk. Just while I'm here, just for the sake of having it. Once I'm able to break through this material, I'll be able to dig even deeper and find even more stuff. Of course, that also means I will find more powerful monsters, which unfortunately I won't be able to show on camera. But let's get the heck out of here so that the thing doesn't overload again. As I've already said, you don't need food, so I can just continuously adventure like this for as long as I see fit. Of course, I have my shed here, and I have some lovely decorative tiles. This is called a natural stone path, which you can craft with dirt and, of course, stone. This is my death count. I decided to keep record of it. Before I even started recording, I did have 5 separate deaths, and I do not expect this pile to, get any smaller as time goes on. So, yeah. Of course, I'm building an actual house over here, or at least what I'm going to use as my main home. But, for now, I figure you guys need a tutorial, and I need a little practice with the controls, so I'm going to head to a different area of the map. Yes, they do have a map! As you can see, my little base camp here takes up about 2 cells on its own. Who would have guessed? But I'll travel somewhere else off into the distance. That looks like a separate biome over there. Oh, wait a minute. Unlock a claim to protect a plot of land. You can unlock it with coal. Cool. Or you can unlock it with coins. I'm guessing that's pay to play microtransactions. This game is free to play. You don't need to pay anything for it. You can download it off Steam, which is one of the most convenient things I've had dealing with the games I've been dealing with lately. So that's good. If you switch tab, you can go back into combat. Of course, I have a slightly more advanced weapon than you're going to start out with, but basically run out to something and hack at it for a few minutes, and it will eventually go down. You can get leather, sinew, all kinds of actually natural materials, realistic materials that you can use to craft things with. I haven't actually seen water before now, so why don't I just experiment with this for a minute or so. Requires obsidian mining cell. So you'll need a more powerful battery before you can pick up water. But you can pick up water. Good to know. Now let's hop in here. Doesn't seem to do anything. But then again, this is shallow water, so I'm guessing it's not supposed to do anything. Where am I according to the map? I have no idea what that blue spark is, but it's probably an enemy, so I'm going to stay away from that area. It seems to automatically track all the pigs on screen as well, so that's neat. Instead of actually wandering around and being lost for hours at a time trying to find animals, they're already on the map. Just go after them. It's neat. So I guess I'll start my new base camp over here in this area. Of course, since I do actually have a map now, which has made note of the changes I've made to the terrain, that also means that I'll be able to find my way back without trying that hard. For all of you who know me, it's particularly easy for me to get lost, especially in games like this. So, adding the map and having it this early in development is a huge convenience and blessing. Not to mention, those of you that have been watching my compass rose see that I have an X over there by my actual base camp. They gave you, when you start up, they give you a touchstone, and the touchstone apparently works with the teleporter technology that I haven't played around with yet. But it also makes note of everything on the map, so, you know, that's how I know which direction to go in, and that is brilliant. Why hasn't somebody thought of that before? I've apparently found pine trees now, that's what it looks like. This looks like a pretty good spot. I'll just set down my processor and get to processing some junk, I suppose. Make some twine. Craft some slabs. Make some shredded leaves. I don't know if this flower has any use outside of being pigment or dye, for those of you that don't know. But I will keep it there, just in case. Use some of my extra limestone to produce some of these slabs instead of actual stone. Make some more wood, you know. Just start up a collection of resources because you're gonna need them. in case you haven't already noticed. Now, this tree here, ashen wood, like I said, has moss on it. And this moss is what you're going to make your first torches out of, in case I haven't already said, which I probably have. Q, not tab. Okay, so there's the teleporter. That's a lot of resources that I don't have right now. And I'm not entirely certain how to make glass yet either, so we'll just skip over that. So you can make moss torches, smoky and let off little light, and of course a little heat, but things can catch on fire in this game. I want to stress that things can and will catch on fire, so be careful where you put them down. There's your selection of armors. I don't have all the resources necessary for that. You have healing potions, which have saved my life on more than one occasion. In case you haven't noticed, cough cough, hack hack the graveyard. You can of course make all these fancy structures out of whatever materials you can find. You get melted wax, or what I'm basically going to consider glue, from the honeycombs that I already showed you how to extract. You put the honeycombs in the furnace, and it'll melt them up real nice. Speaking of which, that's the thing we need to craft right now, is the forge, or the furnace, or the oven, you know, whatever you're going to call it. And for that, we're going to need a few more materials. Has my processor gotten that far yet? Yes, the processor has, in fact, done that. So we go into the menu, craft the furnace. It just puts it in our bag. We don't have to worry about it. Crafting the furnace. Now, you can use any sort of material. You don't need to go and chop down every tree in the forest. You can just use all the leaves you've collected. Which, if you're like me, you've collected quite a few trying to find all those flowers. You can make obsidian and iron, you know, whatever else. And of course, you can also make your melted wax. Believe me, you need wax for quite a few things. So I have my processor, I have my forge. I suppose at some point I'll make a teleporter and rig up this place to every other place. But for now, one of the things I will definitely need most is a bed, which you can make from the shredded leaves, which I showed you how to process, the sticks, which I showed you how to process, the stone rods, etc. Craft yourself a bed. You may even want a box, which I'm going to need more slabs for. Get yourself a chest, get yourself a bed. And that's really freaking cool, the way the machines fold out and fold up and make little noises and everything. That's an amazing level of detail you don't see very often these days. Okay, so made the bed, made the box. All I need now is a little place to sleep. Which, if I go into my inventory, I should have more than enough blocks of some random type. You know what? I'm just gonna make this first little hut here out of dirt. You can call this the explorer's hut, or you know, the other shed. Of course, you can press tab if it helps. Basically just align the things. And press the button back down. You can reach, like, whatever space you could actually reach from this position. Also, something I find fantastic and a fresh breath of air from having to be right on top of whatever you're reaching for whatever reason you're reaching for it. Of course, this system is not completely foolproof. You can still misclick all you want. Of course, there is an enemy right over there. Bed looks very nice and comfy. Very sort of makeshift, but you do what you can with what you've got. My character looks fairly odd there. But there you go. I've survived the night. And I'm going to put some of this extra material in this box for later. You know, if I should need it. Including some food and some other things. That is basically as far as I've gotten. And that is the basics that you will need to know in order to be able to construct your house and whatnot. I have a feeling I've already bored you enough, and like I said, this is actually very taxing on my system for one reason or another. So let's just head back to my camp, where I can play this a little more on my own without distressing any of you. Actually, that's going to be a very long walk. But anyway, this new game, it's free, it's like Minecraft, it's more realistic, it's more fancy, it's got a sort of ancient-esque technology portion, like the Jak and Daxter games, if you've ever heard of those or like any of those. And I find it much more open. I don't know how long this game's actually been around, but the community seems to have sprung up, and compared to how I was treated when I started playing Minecraft to how I've been treated when I've started playing this game, I find it a much more welcoming community. Some people are still pretty freaking hardcore about it. If you look on the forums for it, or on the Steam communities forum, you'll see these huge, massive, complex builds. And people are requesting the makers of the game make it just like Minecraft in like every single way. And if you ask me, no, you don't need to do that. Please don't do that. We have enough things that are exact clones of Minecraft. This game is not a clone of Minecraft. It has its own storyline, sort of. It has its own ideas. Keep going in this direction rather than, you know, everybody pushing you towards being like Minecraft. Please, for the love of God. This game has been a fresh burst of air for me. It's made me feel a lot better about my own abilities and my own way of seeing things when compared to other people. And these people are so much nicer. In case I haven't said that enough already. But anyway, I'm going to stop the recording here. Hopefully my computer doesn't crash again while I'm trying to play this. And hopefully this has done more than just made me look like an idiot. But thank you for watching. You can see all of my other junk. And you can see all of my Fort Nerd stuff on Fort Nerd. And all that other stuff. Just have a